Hello friends, and welcome to Figure Study, where Tobots, more Tobots. Today we're going to be taking a look at Tobot V Master V. It's a combination between Monster, Speed, and Rocket. And the only reason why I know their names is because... the only reasons I know their names are because there are only 3 of them, and they actually have, names, not numbers or letters or alpha, beta, whatever. Also, I own Rocket. As is customary with Tobot combiners, we've got 3 vehicles that do not have individual robot modes, but do change into components for one big robot mode. However, I know I said somewhat recently, by which I mean probably several months ago at this point, that I was kind of refocusing on Tobots that are like standalone, vehicle to robot type deals and not really getting into the combiners too much. However, the reason I wanted to get Master V here is because Master V is going to combine with other Tobots that come out in the future. So we'll have this guy as sort of the base, and then the other ones that are vehicles that turn into robots will also add on to him and end up making a larger and larger and larger armored up robot. I'm looking forward to that. But in the meantime, we have the base model here, and as I said, we've got Monster, Speed, and Rocket represented in their vehicle modes. And, there are definitely some differences. The colors, first and foremost, are the most obvious differences between all of them. Like, Monster is normally, his primary color is orange, Speed's primary color is blue, and Rocket is black and white with red accents rather than white and red with yellow accents. Also, there's a pretty big size difference. Keep in mind, these all are individual components for a bigger robot mode. They do not have individual robot modes, but we bring in the standalone Tobot V Rocket here. You can see just how much larger he is in comparison to these individual vehicles. So yeah, they're comparatively tiny in their vehicle modes. And I guess while we're doing size comparison stuff, let's bring in the other stuff real quick. Here they are with a Siege Deluxe, and you can see they are definitely bigger than a Siege Deluxe. How much bigger really depends on the vehicle. Like, Speed and Rocket, I'd say, are more close to Voyager. Well, Speed specifically, I think, is more closer to Voyager size. Rocket is probably large Voyager, small Leader size, and Monster... It's tricky with Monster because pretty much all of his height is tires, but I'd put him kind of in the same general category as Rocket. He looks much bigger, but if I move Hound, you can see there's not a... yeah, there's not a lot under there. It's just big wheels. But there you go. That's how that stacks up. And, hang on. Let's readjust this stuff a little bit. There we go. That gives you a slightly better idea. There's how they measure up to Duck Tank. And it's also worth mentioning that while they are roughly in the same ballpark size-wise, that's definitely more bulk to the tank than these things. So, let's get to these details. Starting off with Rocket, just because, I guess, because that's the one that I own in regular form. For the most part, it's the same vehicle. There's obviously some differences in terms of where things move, seams, that kind of thing, but the shape of the vehicle itself, totally the same. Coloring, definitely different. Basically almost everything that's red is black in the regular version, but it still works. One big noticeable difference is there's a hole right here in the nose, which has to do with the transformation. It's because this has to fit around this. So, yeah, it is what it is. And along the back, you don't see the head anymore because now it's just a regular solid plastic piece. And the fin is a bit hollow, which is kind of weird. Also, the middle booster sticks out in a strange way, but it's okay. The shape's a little weird, but it's to facilitate the combination, the more advanced combinations, I should say. But I have to say, I think it's interesting how they managed to kind of bring over so many details from one version to the other. Again, there are minor differences here and there, but the overall bits are kind of exactly where they need to be. The wings are the right shape, the boosters are in the right place, or pods, intakes, whatever. What would become the robot mode knees are in the right place. The head fin and all that. These bits along here that are supposed to be the arms are sitting in the right place. They even have the kind of faux booster detail, which is red in the... I keep wanting to say official. It's not official because they're both official, but you know what I mean. The larger standalone rocket, these are red, whereas here they're orange. But overall, details still there, even the brick texture, which, as I think we've determined, is probably solar panels. I think it's a good-looking rocket. I think... or shuttle, rather. Technically, this is not actually a rocket. It is a shuttle. But I think this shuttle mode looks really good. Even this version. It's a lot smaller. It doesn't transform into a robot, but I think the mode itself, the vehicle mode, looks good. I'm not as crazy about this color scheme, but I know it's to facilitate the combined mode, so fine, whatever. I definitely prefer the black and white over this, but it's not terrible. Now to mix things up a bit, since we were just looking at red, let's save red for the last. We're going to stagger it. Now we're going to look at Monster, and Monster is obviously called Monster because he is a station wagon. I know there are some differences here aside from the color scheme. I don't own Monster, so I can't do like a one-to-one comparison, but from what I can recall from the videos I've seen, these bits up here are different. They're supposed to be like a flip-up, like lights, kind of like a rack of lights up here. And obviously, yes, he's primarily orange, but whatever. Got his name on the front there, which isn't tacky at all, no sir. Or on the side. But it's fine. And the deco, for what it is, works. I mean, blue and orange always work well together. They are complementary colors, so that's fine. And you can see there's some little painted bits here and there, like the details, then the grille, the headlights. They did paint the taillights and part of the bumper. A fair bit of care went into the vehicle modes, despite the fact that these are basically going to turn into things like a torso and limbs. I'm not super into Monster as a standalone vehicle. I think it's because I'm not super into monster trucks to begin with, and then there's also the fact that this guy's kind of puffy looking. Though I do have to say, it's cool that they molded in the suspension. That's a nice detail. And then underneath, I'm pretty sure you can tell what Monster's gonna be. And you know what? Since this is a Tobot video and I walk through the transformations, let's actually do the transformations as I go through the individual bits. So let's bring back Rocket here. And let's get this going. So I'm going to flip in the landing gear. That just flips in as you'd expect. Next, I'm going to pop this door down. And this just gives you room to start moving things. So you pop that down, you start moving these up, or down rather, and as you click this down, this bit will pop open. If you lift that back the rest of the way, the combined mode head will spring forward. Once this is down all the way and the head is in its position, you push this back, and this will settle into place right behind the head. You need to do this first, because when you rotate these up, like so, these back bits here will actually get in the way of the panel that needs to flip out. You can kind of see there. So you need to get this situated first before you move these. And going back into vehicle mode, you need to get these out of the way before you do anything with the head. So with that done, I'm going to split these bits here, and they will accordion up and clip there, and there you can see why that hole is necessary. So those clip around there. And we will look at this in more detail when we have a proper robot. And now bringing back Monster. Monster's transformation is completely different because he doesn't turn into a torso. So I'm going to start with popping these up, and these will accordion back, and you can see the hinge right there. And they will clip there, and these will clip up there. So clip that down, and that is that. I'm going to flip up the entire grille section there and front bumper. And that will allow us to rotate the legs around. And we can fold down the hip skirts. And you do want those folded all the way up because they need to settle in there. So with that done, we can split the legs. Split the legs. Yeesh. Some of these ratchets are quite impressive. Okay, so before we get any further, I forgot to do this when I first got this guy because you don't even really necessarily realize these are here. But there are these panels here that flip out, and there is actually a little set of tabs down here that will click into, and that will keep it from flopping around as you're playing with the toy, I guess. All right, that down and click that into place. And I just like to do one click out on the thighs just to give them a little bit more of a spread stance. Then bring in the wheels, and there are pegs here and peg holes. They just kind of sit in there. They don't really like solidly peg. The lower ones, though, those rotate in and do clip down. You can see the little setup right there. And that clicks in nicely. And then you've got legs, and these work as heels, and everything is good. And now for Speed. Speed is a figure that I was actually kind of debating whether or not I wanted to get him as a standalone. I've decided against it purely because... Okay, there are two reasons. One, there are a couple of other large Korean transforming toys that I've got my eye on. I think I want more than him. And then also there's the question of, or issue of space. So, probably not going to get the standalone Speed. But I do like this vehicle mode. I'm not really a car guy, but I've always kind of appreciated the kind of futuristic, obviously built for racing look of whatever this kind of car is called. Supercars, I think? I don't know. I don't know what the actual term is, but it looks good. There's a really nice silhouette on this. I like the kind of fin going along the back into the spoiler. Coloration is nice. I do think I would have preferred the blue over the red, but I don't think the red looks bad. And there is a fair bit of detail in here. Like this gray skirt kind of going all along the bottom. It's very nice. You got the exhausts molded in there, but not painted. Vents for some reason. Separated out wheels, which is always nice. Some nice racing looking deco decals, whatever. These kind of gunmetal bits on the top. Clear headlights. The Woiks. I don't know why I said it that way. But yeah, Speed is a pretty nice looking car, all things considered. And it's not immediately apparent what he turns into, but you could probably guess. So, to transform Speed, I'm going to, well, actually, I'm going to just break him in half. And it is easier if you got him just to kind of pull down like this. It just pops right apart that way. So, I'm going to start with the back half. All you do is flip this down, and then right here is a panel that'll lift up. That will allow you to flip out the hand and close that back up, and that's it. Now you've got an arm. The front is a little bit different in that you've got to move this bit out of the way. So that just kind of accordions up like that. And that gives you the room that you need to flip the arm down. Otherwise, it would not fit right there. And then, as before, open up the panel, flip the fist out, and close back up. And there we've got another arm. Now, before I combine everything completely, I want to talk about the toe key for a second, because it is a complex and ugly thing on its own. I mean, there is some nice detailing. Lots of different colors, silver for the different ends, the nice symmetrical look of it. And what's interesting about the toe key is it's a combination of the three keys for the different Tobots, where you've got Rocket's owl and then a bird, which I don't know. I think the bird goes with Monster, and then a gorilla narwhal that goes with Speed. I don't know. The only one I'm familiar with is the owl for Rocket, but I know these other two are from the toe keys for the other Tobots. And then they kind of seemingly combine together to make this one big, solid chunk with some nice detailing. You can clearly see the owl face and the bird, dragon, whatever face, and the gorilla unicorn face, or whatever that is. My issue with this is the same issue that I have with so many other toe keys, which is there's no real good place to put this in vehicle mode. Like, you can kind of clip it to the top of Rocket, but it stands out. You can kind of clip it to the back of Monster, but it stands out. So if you don't want any of the vehicles to look weird with this thing just kind of hanging off to the side, then you have to just chuck it off to the side somewhere and not have it anywhere. Thankfully, it does have a place to store in robot mode, but that's the only place that it can store, which kind of sucks. Anyway, I bring Monster back in here in his leg mode and raise up the camera because, well, it's a Tobot, so he's going to be big. All right, so I bring in Rocket in torso mode, and Rocket will just plop right in here, and that clicks right into place. And to disengage, there are these buttons on either side. You just push both of them in, and that will disengage the mechanism. You can see right there. So clip him in, and that's it for that bit. And for the arms, it's similarly simple. There is a clip here and a, well, clip here, peg here, and you just line them up and pop them in. And that's it. Same thing on the other side. Oh, actually, there are these bits on the back here, these little spring-loaded tabs that'll actually go on the insides there. So that'll lock it in place a little bit more thoroughly than just the one clip. And also, in my experience, if you want to disengage the shoulders, it's best to pull it down this way because breaking the connection here works a little bit smoother than starting from up here. So if you just twist it forward like that, don't make me a liar now. There you go. Pops right off. So there is that. And finally, the toe key, which has clip there, peg there, clip there. So you just get it set up, and it'll nestle right into the chest there and clip it down. And that is that. And there we have Tobot Master V all combined up into his robot mode. And this is not a bad looking robot mode. I actually do like this quite a bit. There's a surprising amount of cohesiveness to it. The overall shape is good. I mean, proportionally, yes, there are definitely some issues, like the knees are way too high up on the legs, the elbows are way too low on the arms, but overall, the aesthetic is very solid. And yeah, the articulation is fairly limited, but again, Tobots, I see them as Super Sentai, so it doesn't really bother me. The overall shape is good. I like how he's got kind of the bulkier biceps and shoulders. The monster truck ends up becoming a fairly respectable pair of legs. And for some reason, I really like how Rocket's nose cone section kind of comes up to bulk out the chest. Gives it kind of a slightly bulky-ish, heroic kind of proportions to it, just the chest. In terms of the color scheme, I'm not sure if I would have preferred the kind of off-white or very light gray that is Rocket and the thighs for Monster. Not sure if I would have preferred that to be like a more pure white, but then at the same time, I feel like maybe they did it intentionally because that combined with the pure white that's going on in the arms and the legs and waist there would probably be a little overwhelming. I don't know. Oh, actually, I also want to call out the wings on the shoulders there. I like how those kind of jut up and make little, not spikes, but just gives him kind of shoulder fins, which look cool. Anyway, as for the rest of the color scheme, what really makes this work is the fact that the blue is primarily all on the legs. Then you've got the same red plastic used for the waist, arms, shoulders, and the bits of the head and toe key there in the chest. You've got that gray everywhere, obviously. And then you've got white in several places, including the arms, the waist, and the legs. So that kind of draws everything together as well. And you also do have the blue in the chest there to kind of bring everything together a bit more. they did a really good job of kind of carrying colors over between components. It would have been kind of lame if the red for the waist section that was in Monster was slightly off compared to, say, the arms from Speed or the torso from Rocket. The orange with the rims there and the toe key and the waist bit do match. The orange on the knees, not so much. It's a little bit brighter, but that's okay. And yeah, overall, this just works really well. And there are lots and lots of places where you can totally see where stuff is going to clip onto this thing later. For example, the bottoms of the feet, it's totally got clips down there. The back totally has a clip. There's these slots on the sides of the head that there's definitely going to be some kind of headpiece that clips on there. So yeah, stuff is going to happen with this guy. That much is certain. Since I already mixed things up with vehicle modes, let's mix things up a little bit more and do size comparisons before we look at the details, because I can do what I want because I'm the one making the video. Here is Master V absolutely dwarfing a Siege Deluxe. I say absolutely dwarfing a lot in Tobot videos, but, you know, they're big. And I have a very limited vocabulary, apparently. There he is with Duck Tank. And because I brought him in for the early size comparisons in the vehicle mode, here he is with Tobot V Rocket. So you can see how he stacks up to sort of average-ish Tobot height, as well as another figure from the same line. I think you could say average Tobot would be to the top of Rocket's head, not counting the fin. Slightly bigger than, maybe like a little over a head taller than a more typical Tobot. As for the details and the continued deco, one other thing I want to call out with the overall design of this guy is the fact that it's from Tobot V, his name is Master V, and there's V's all over him. There's the V in the head, the V that the chin piece makes on the head, which we'll see in more detail in a second, the V that you get from the toe key, specifically this red one for the bird dragon thing, and then this could also work as a V, though that's a bit more of a stretch, but then you've got the V's in the forearms, V's in the waist, V's on the shins. This guy is covered in V's. Thankfully, aside from the head crest, I feel like the V's on this guy are a lot more subtle than they could have been. It still kind of follows that classic Tobot tradition, particularly with the older figures, that there are design elements on them that are meant to denote their letter. And since this guy's Master V, it would make sense that they'd get back to the whole letter thing. As for the details, a lot of it is stuff that you could see in vehicle mode, at least from the legs. You can see the suspension details a little bit better. These bits here are revealed, although they're just kind of flat. There's not really much going on there. But again, V's. And also these bits here, which sort of have like a gas tank design to them. I don't really know why. And the weird little red bits that were on top of the truck mode now make more sense because they're toes. And you can kind of see why they didn't go with the light rack. Moving up, got kind of nondescript robot thighs. It's weird that that's becoming a normal thing for me to say. Though there is some nice robotic detail molded in there. The waist is a little roundy. I feel like it didn't necessarily need to be that round, and when you look at them from the side, it sticks out a bit to the point where it kind of looks like it could be a diaper. It's not distracting, but it's, I feel like this could have come in a little bit more. I don't know if this is going to be a factor in any of the future combined modes, but in this mode, it kind of seems unnecessary. I think this could have at least tapered down a little bit more before, rather than kind of coming out in like a bulbous shape, but whatever. Some nice gunmetal on the hip skirts, which not necessary, but I like how it breaks the color up a bit. Most of what you see in the torso, as far as the vehicle bits, is all vehicle stuff. Nothing new there. We already looked at the toe key, though it does look nice in conjunction with the torso. The arms are just the front and back of Speed, with the addition of the forearms, which very simple, cylindrical. Kind of like Big O, if Big O's arms were actually puny, in a way, just like the big cylinders. Though the color breakup is nice with the gun, darker gunmetal-ish black color on the ends. The white V again, and then the hands Also nondescript, but nicely molded, nicely colored. I always like it when they do the kind of back of the hand panel to just differentiate the color a bit more. Taking a look at the back, just got folded up wheels and the robot butt and folded up rocket. And this is all stuff that's like probably going to get more interesting when we start combining other things to him whenever I get said other things. Though I do like how clean this all is. There's really, aside from the wheels on the backs of the legs, I feel like there's not really much in the way of kibble on this guy. And arguably the wheels are necessary because they bulk the legs out and give him heels. Moving in to get a closer look at the head. The head is cool. It's kind of, I guess, very simple in terms of the face. It's kind of just humanoid robot protector. It just doesn't look that distinct. Like the actual face doesn't look that distinct. The head, though, I think the head looks quite distinct. The shape of the helmet is interesting. The way the color is broken up is interesting. As I said before, there's that red kind of chin strap that goes up to the ears, or what would be ears, that makes a V when you look at it from the front. I like the little stripe of gunmetal, or dark gray, whatever it is, going up the top there. And the way the tail fin of the rocket comes up and just adds that little bit of element to the back of the head is nice. It kind of gives him a super thick neck and he can't turn his head at all, but from the front and from slight angles, it looks good. It's a good looking head. The face is nondescript, but the head itself does look good. And now you get the three-pronged fins with the head fin and then the shoulder fins. Things look good in threes. And that's going to do it for Tobot V Master V. I'm definitely looking forward to getting the other bots that combine with this guy. I've seen listings for the yellow construction driller vehicle thing on Amazon, but it was like 30 or 40 bucks, which just seems suspiciously low to me. It may be paranoid of me, but I don't quite trust the Amazon listing because it kind of seems too good to be true price-wise, so I just want to double-check with the sources that I know and trust to see if they have it listed, and just haven't got around to it yet, but it is going to happen. There's also a train and then one other vehicle robot thing that I don't remember what it is, at least, and those will all kind of come together and mash onto this guy, bulk him out, and turn him into an even bigger guy, and I am okay with that. But until I get my hands on any one of those, that's going to do it for Master V. What do you all think? As Tobot collectors, if any of you are, how do you think this guy stacks up to some of the other vehicle combiners that we've gotten? If you are not a Tobot collector, what do you think of Master V? What do you think of the idea of having combiners that are just vehicle modes that turn into robot bits to come together to make a robot? Because, I mean, I feel like not having to pull triple duty with the vehicle mode, robot mode, and a limb mode of some kind, I feel like these toys are able to pull things off a little bit better because they're a little bit more focused. Not to say that there aren't combiners that are great, but usually if you get a combiner that's a good vehicle mode, plus a good robot mode, plus a good combined mode, they cost a lot of money. Whatever your thoughts, feel free to chime in down below. I always enjoy hearing from you all. And while you're at it, also feel free to like, subscribe, or if you're feeling generous, you can buy me a coffee. Links in the description below. Any of those things would make me a happy Rob. And remember, art is more than meets the eye.